All right, 3, 2, 1, let's get it. Welcome to another episode of What's Your Problem, the podcast. And today I have a very special guest. It's my daughter, Rhyan Mackenzie Buice. She's back on the set. Man, we have great conversations in the car, and a lot of times they're on the way to school. A lot of them I document in my voice memo app, and I go back and have referenced back to them in many episodes. She has carved out a little time for, teenagers never have time for their parents, but she has carved out a little time. And so she is back. And instead of me creating a solo podcast, I would rather her kind of set the context of the story itself and basically what the overall reference is and how you can apply it to your life. So Mackenzie, once you take the story away, you kind of set everything up, and then we'll rock out from there.
It's great. So I actually have two stories, and it relates to the first story. So there was one day I was in class, algebra. We all know math is not easy at all. It's terrible. But one day she told us to do this worksheet, and while I was working the worksheet, I said, I just don't get this. And if anybody knows me from school, hi, y'all all know I'm gonna ask questions. So I'm gonna ask 100 questions until I get what you're saying. So I had asked a question, and I was like, Miss Such and Such, can you explain how this works? And she says, no, Mackenzie, I'm not gonna give you the answer. And I said, I don't want the answer. I want you to explain to me how you got there. And she was like, no, you want the answer. And I did kind of get mad because to me, she assumed like I was every other kid. And that kind of hurt my feelings because, she judged me by my cover. She was thinking that, I was just a kid that just wants the answer like every other kid in the room. And I was like, no, I don't want the answer. I need you to explain to me how you got there. So that was that. And as you know, a young woman, I didn't understand math until 8th grade, where I would stay after school and my teacher would help me. And when I got to 9th grade and algebra, I actually have a friend where she was very rude to my 9th grade teacher. And I didn't really like her at first. Not my friend, but I didn't like the teacher at first because she was just kind of like mean. And I was just like, no, I don't really like that. And I don't like how you assume that I'm like every other student. But she ended up becoming one of my favorite teachers because she explained math to me like no other. Shout out to that teacher. Yeah, so that's my story.
Let's replay that back. So Mackenzie had a question. She's very inquisitive, like her cheer coach, like all of her teachers. Like Mackenzie is a dog on a bone. When she wants to know something, I'm just like, well, I'll figure it out or just move on down the road. She's not going to do that. She wants to know why she's doing it. But what I find is interesting on this is that when Mackenzie asked the teacher looked at it through the lens of what I would have done as a kid would be really what I want as the answer. And really what she was asking for is the steps that led to the answer. And if you really think about it, when you put this into your own life, it as easy and nice as it would be for us to just instantly have results, instantly have the answer to whatever it is that we want, whether it be your relationships, whether it be finances, whether it be your health, parenting, career. Like, you want the answers. Yes, we want the results. But what is going to sustain long-term success is learning the steps that it takes to get the result. This is your skin in the game. And this is what's so important is you have to invest. You have to go through a lot of losses. You have to get frustrated. You have to hit these brick walls. You have to untangle some of these thoughts. You have to push past some of your old assumptions. And you got to sometimes just engage and wrestle with that thing. Even when someone helps you, you still have to have an understanding so that way you can unpack it and then put it back together. That way you discover the answer for yourself. And her teacher was like, no, I'm not going to give you the answer. And Mackenzie, she is a super sweet young lady, But when you strike a nerve on something, you will see the other side of her, and that's kind of the harder side, the little cold side. And she shut the teacher down. She was like, I don't want the answer. I want you to show me how you got to the answer. And it was kind of like one of those clapbacks, like, ooh. Luckily she didn't do it in front of everybody in class. I would assume you didn't. No. Okay. So she pulled it aside. But have you always been that way? And do you always take that approach of that? How do you resist like any other kid that just, let me put it this way. Every kid in America just wants the answers. Why do you look at it differently where you want people to show you the steps to get to the answer? How does that serve you better?
Oh, that's a simple question. 'Cause, everybody likes to cheat. I've cheated before, on a paper or a homework assignment, but you don't learn that way. So that's why, even though if I do like cheat on a paper, or even if I don't understand a problem and I'm like, hey, such and such, I need you to explain this to me. I do that because when you get to the test, you can't talk to anyone. You can't cheat off of anyone without getting caught. And normally, if I was to cheat, I would probably 99% get caught because they just like to ride on my case. But I do that because I want to succeed. And you cannot succeed unless you know step by step. Like, I don't know if many of y'all know about cheer or whatever, but I cheer, and one of the moves are called a back handspring. Y'all can look it up. But a back handspring, you can't just get straight to the result. Like, you can't just look at it and be like, all right, I got that, and have your toes pointed and your arms straight and everything. You have to know step by step, or otherwise you could hurt yourself. So, and that was a thing that we had talked about too, about a time machine. A lot of people were like, if I had a chance to have like a time machine or whatever, this is very into real life, I would fix my mistakes. And I said I would never go back in a time machine and fix my mistakes or whatever, because if I didn't make those mistakes, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think that's a lot of people, they miss that point. Like Dad said, if you had the answer to every single thing, if you knew when you were going to die and you knew all of this, you would prevent those from happening. But then if you prevent those from happening, then you don't learn. So that's why.
Wow. This girl, she's wise beyond her years. I'd love to take credit, but she rocks to her own beat on that. Something to point out that Mackenzie said, you're going to have tests in life. And if you cheat to get the answers, you'll never be able to stand to the test. Because there are going to be other situations. Because just like any other subject, things build on top of things. So once you learn one level, with cheer, with math, once you learn one level, something else is coming down, right?
And you have to know that previous level.
Right.
But if you don't know that previous level, then you can't complete the hardest one.
Right. So that means that you have to stay at this level until you figure it out on your own. You have to figure it out. So many times people want the job done for them, and you can't. Like, you got to figure things out for yourself. The reason being is not because it's a hateful world. It's because you have other things in front of you that are going to build on top of that. And if you don't learn to work through this test, even if it's a fail, even if you fail a test, okay, failing is a process. It's not an identity. Failure is an identity. So when you fail, okay, and she called me the other day at school, and she's like, I thought I was going to fail a test. I didn't. I made a C on it. But, okay, so you learn from those things, and she's all A's and B's, mostly A's, very few B's. I'm not going to jump down her throat. She wasn't prepared. She said she wasn't. And so now it's just a matter of going back to the lab and figuring out, okay, how do I put myself in a better position next time to do better the next time? And this is the thing, like, don't ask everybody for the answers. It's good to have people in your corner who will show you that, but don't have somebody shortcut that and get the answers for you, because I'm telling you, you're going to have weak legs. You're not going to be prepared. And as you go forward in life, it may not catch you a month from now, but it damn sure will catch you years from now. And what happens is this becomes a mindset. This becomes a way of life. There was something, Mackenzie, that you said a long time ago, and I actually used it in one of my earlier podcasts. And I don't know if you remember it or not, but you may have been at like Nelson. And your posture's so good. She's got no chair back, and her posture's just wonderful. But anyway, but you had said, well, at least I didn't fail it. And I think it was like you made a C. And I told you, and I was like, don't think that way, because if you have that kind of mentality, then you're never gonna get the A pluses in life. You're never gonna reach for the A's in life. So okay, you get a C. Okay, you get a D, metaphorically speaking, but there's a B and an A that is available for you, but you've got to equip yourself to be worthy of that. And if you haven't earned it, then you can blame the teacher, you can blame what's going on at your house, but you got to take responsibility that if whatever's going on in your life, you got to take responsibility of that and say, okay, this may suck, but I don't want to stay in this situation. I don't want to stay in this area. So what is it I have to do to kind of isolate these things and make the best of the worst situations?
Well, I can actually give another example of ninth grade where my counselor actually tricked me, because she was like, oh, well, this is the first time I'm in biology or whatever, and Dad's probably going to know the story, but she was like, if you like to, like cut up pigs or whatever, unravel the intestines or whatever, you should probably do it advanced. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it advanced. So I got in the advanced class, and I felt stupid. And it was really because all the other kids, these are kids that I have been to school with in elementary, and they were in the smarter classes. Okay, like they were taking like Spanish in like 3rd grade while I was still in speech. So, these are like the really smart kids. Like, she's like, oh yeah, what does this mean? They're like, they say this really long word, like, and I'm like, yeah, see? Yeah. So I remember going up to the teacher and I said, was there a way that I could phase down? Because they give you like a week or two to phase down to our regular. And I was like, is there a way that I could phase down? I still want you as my teacher, but I just don't want to be at advanced. And I told her, I said, I feel stupid in your class. Like, you be talking about stuff and I have no idea what you're saying. Like, it literally just sounds like they're just, the whole hour, this is exactly what I heard. You ready? And I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I would ask her, and she would try to explain it, but it wasn't dumbed down enough for me. And she didn't want to slow down the class, so she would just have to move on. But she told me, unfortunately, there was no way. And I remember I was in the bathroom when I was looking at my grades, and I seen all A's and 1 D. I have never had a D on my progress reports. And that kind of brings me back to what he was saying earlier. Seeing that D in that class, even though I felt stupid, I worked harder. And I got a B at the end of that semester. And then my last, 4th 9 weeks, I ended up getting all A's. So I finally got an A in that class. But like my dad says, I also have that same friend that not good in math or whatever. She yelled at me and she was like, you know what, yes, Mackenzie, because you're just smart. You're just smart in math. And I said, you think I was smart in math? I said, I sucked at math. I did. I had C's in math. I was bad at math. I never had an A in math until I got to 8th grade, where my 8th grade teacher helped me, and then I got to 9th grade and my 9th grade teacher helped me. But yeah, you just have to have that person to help you. I remember my friend, she had said, I'm just shooting for a C. And my cousin Lakin, she said, you should be shooting for an A, because if you shoot for a C, then you're not really going to try that hard. But if you shoot for an A, you're going to try a lot more harder. And that's kind of relating back to my story with the biology. I seen that D and I worked my butt off to possibly get an A that one day that I would get an A, and I finally did that last 9 weeks.
Bravo. And it's funny. I remember you wanted to like get out of biology, and I like, being the dad I am, I was like I didn't say anything because I couldn't even hang in there in biology. So the inner dad in me was like, yeah, I would too, but I didn't say anything. And Mackenzie thugged it out, man. Like, she fought it through, and I never said anything else about it. But I know her, and I know when she's a dog on a bone. Like, when she gets on something, she will not let go of it, and she will apply whatever resources she has to. I've gone in her room at 11 o'clock at night, and as mad as she is, she's trying to figure stuff out, and she's been online with the virtual teacher thing, whatever that's called. Yeah, Tutor Me, and just wearing that guy out, poor guy. Like, whatever resources she does, and then like when she has these hiccups, she goes to the teacher too. She just doesn't accept it. She goes to the teacher, says, "Look, is there any other work I can do?" And she will debate it too, like not in a bad way, but if there's something extra or something that maybe needs to be questioned, that's what I love about her too, among many things. But that's what I love about her, too, is that she has the spine. Confrontation is one of the things we always talk about on What's Your Problem, the podcast. And she is good at productively confronting some things and not letting things slide. And I think that's going to help you, moving forward in life as well.
Another story about a teacher. So actually this year I'm in 10th grade, but there was a teacher. She's really nice. She's really cool. But I had a B in that class, and I was shooting for banner roll. Had all A's and 1 B. And this is in physical science now, so I guess I'm just not really that good at science. But there was that one test where I think I got a C on it, and there was that other day where I didn't go to school for cheer or whatever, and they did like this lab, and that was 40 points, but I was excused from it. But I remember I was like, please, 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 like, what can I do? What can I do? I was like, bro, I will do anything. Like, I'll go to your house and clean your house. Like, I'll do anything. Like, please. And I remember telling my dad about the story, and he was like, well, your teacher could actually get in trouble when, you clean her house or whatever. But I was just like showing her my dedication, like, I really want that A. And she was like, no, Mackenzie, you're not getting an A. No, 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 no. A B is good enough. She was like, you want me to announce the other kids' grades? And, like, for me, I don't care about other kids' grades. I care about mine, and I want an A. So, but eventually she did end up giving a bonus sheet. And I was like, will this bring my grade up? And she was like, no. And I was like, I'll still take the sheet. So I took the sheet or whatever, and she took in some extra homework grades after asking her like a million times for an A, and I ended up getting banner roll. So that just really shows, if I remember hearing this quote, 2 quotes. One was from Steve Harvey, and he was saying failure is a part of success. So if you fail, like I was saying about the time machine, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're not going to be where you are today. So you have to fail in order to succeed. And another one was, if you really want it, nothing's going to stop you. Whether it's work or if you got family issues going on, relationship problems, nothing's going to stop you if you really want it. And I really wanted that A, so nothing stopped me. Even though she told me, no, it's not going to bring your grade down. Up. I ended up doing it anyways, and it did bring my grade up. So shout out to that teacher.
So that's important too. So let me make sure. So when she gave you the sheets, she said you can do the sheets, but it's not going to raise your grade?
Yes. She said it might, but it was only going to – I needed 20 points, and it was only 10. So – but she said it was going to raise it to a higher B. So I had some type of hope that it would raise it to an A.
Okay, so what a great metaphor for life on this. So how many times have you looked at situations before and you said, well, what's the use? And so she could have looked at that and said, and the teacher even affirmed it, like, look, you can take this home, you're still not going to get an A. And how many times have we been in these situations that says the opportunity is there to do extra work, but you're not going to get what you're asking for. And yet through blind faith, she did it anyway. And life tends to reward you with those kind of different things. I mean, look, there could have been a high probability that you would have stayed where you were, a C, a B, whatever. Okay. But the fact that I would rather try and fail than succeed at not trying. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you said, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway, life tends to, whether the formula just came out just perfect and boosted her up to an A, or whether the teacher was like, well, she busted her ass, and so I'm going to reward you. Whatever it is, you earned it. And you earned it because you put in the work instead of walking away from it saying, oh, it's only 10 points and I need 20. What's the use? And how many times have you done that on your job where you say, well, I'm not getting paid for it, so I'm not going to do it? Or I'm not going to apply for something because I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to apply for the promotion because they've already told me I'm not going to get it. Dude, throw your hat in the ring anyway. Just do it. It's not the result that matters or that counts so much as the effort that you took. And when you know that you took the effort, that's what builds courage. This is what builds confidence. Those things feed upon one another, but if you sit still and you wait for people to cast these mandates and it's not certain, if you're waiting for certainty, you're gonna be very disappointed in life. But if you walk out there in the uncertainty, you do it anyway, regardless of what the result is. The fact that you took the step, that you took the leap, bravo to you for that.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I just lost my train of thought here. Give me a second.
No, but let me just recalibrate it. So the fact that you took the leap anyway, she told you it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
You know where you're going?
Yeah.
All
okay.
Right.
So yeah, it is. Like he said, you're gonna have life moments where you think you're just not gonna make it or whatever. But like my dad said, it doesn't hurt to try. Or a lot of parents, they say it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't. The worst you're gonna get is a no, or the worst you're gonna get is you didn't make it. But that's okay, because then that pushes you to be harder. Like, I have another friend where she didn't make the cheer squad. So instead of, just giving up on cheer, just calling it quits, she ended up joining an all-star cheer team, and then she ended up improving and getting better. And then this year she's trying out again, and she made it past Friday, which was our skills cut. So I really hope she makes it this year, because she really did work hard. But that takes you back to the quote, if you really want it, nothing's going to stop you. Like, I've had my moments where I was like, man, I just can't today. Like, I cannot do my tumbling. I don't feel like it. Or I was scared to do my tuck because, tragic story, but we were tumbling all together and I fell on my neck. And I cried, but I didn't cry because it hurt, surprisingly. I cried because I was embarrassed. And I remember being so scared to do my tuck again after that, because I was like, I just can't, I can't, like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to embarrass myself again. But it took me a minute to start getting confident, and I'm recently just starting to get confident. Hopefully I don't jinx it. But with my motivation of being, I love cheer, and my motivation also being if I want to make the cheer squad, because a tuck is a requirement, so you have to do your tuck. If I want to get on both routines and I want to make that cheer squad, I'm going to have to face my fear and throw it, no matter what. And if I fall, I fall. And that's just what's supposed to happen. That's what God wanted to happen. So, and I always say that before I do my tuck. You know what? If God wants me to fall and break my neck, that's just what's supposed to happen. Some people say that's scary to say to yourself because you're literally about to go upside down. But if that's supposed to happen, then that's just supposed to happen. But it taught me try to be confident, because I actually do have problems with being confident. Like, sometimes I can't just walk in a room and be like, I'm the baddest one out there. I'm the best cheerleader up in this building, because I know there's other ones doing fools, and I'm not even close to that. But you have to have that mindset of cheer. Yeah, failing is a part of success. So that fall took me a minute to get back up. But now that I am up and running on my feet, I'm learning new skills like a layout, and y'all probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's a newer, higher skill. So
there you go. Well, and we'll wrap up with this. I'll let Mackenzie have the last word on where we are. But Mel Robbins, I was watching a video with her the other day, and she was talking about confidence, and she said confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is a willingness to try. And so when you have a willingness to try, to your point, and you just there's a rhythm to life. There are things that are at play that looks like a no right now, that 10 years from now you'll be glad it was a no. In the moment it looks like it's the worst thing in the world, but then when it plays out longer in life, you're like, "Ooh, thank God that didn't happen," or you just never know. So you have to stay open to that, and you just the courage part is just a willingness to try. So when you get to those parts, and she has tryouts, when y'all start tryouts even more? There's another phase.
April 9th and 10th.
Y'all pray for her, April 9th and 10th. So she's beating herself up. I'm like, Mackenzie, like, you're going to do well, but that just doesn't, she's like, yeah, whatever. But it's that willingness, though. Like, you continue to go out there and you continue to fight for it, and there's a willingness to try. Nothing can stop you. Doesn't mean that you get everything that is right there in front of you. It just means that you have a willingness to continue on, a willingness to try. So even though this is a stop right now, or this is, it didn't work out, life has a way of providing other opportunities, other gateways open up for you. And sometimes it's a layer of protection where you have these no's in life, and it's a protection where you don't have the infrastructure built yet to be able to achieve or be able to receive the more success that you want. So everybody wants to be a millionaire, but if you don't have the infrastructure built, you would destroy yourself if you suddenly had $1 million in your bank account. With your lifestyle choices, with the people that you hang out with the things that you wouldn't even do any good with it. You'd actually take it all for yourself, and then the next thing you know, you're putting cocaine up your nose of the highest grade because you got $1 million. But I digress. I'm just saying that everything in life, there's levels to this thing. And so the level that she's facing right now as a sophomore in high school going into her junior year, it's a level, yes, it's a level that she has to continue to push herself, because before she knows it, she's going to be 52. And then she's going to be like, oh, but it's just a matter of moving the needle from there. So I'll let you end the podcast. What do you want to leave the listeners with? What did you say last time? What's the moral of the story? Mackenzie will have the last word.
This is Mackenzie back on. Moral of the story, I don't know who needs to hear this, but do it. Go do it. Go, go get that job, or go work out. If you've been meaning to go work out, go work out. If you've been meaning to get closer with God, go get closer with God. Don't let nothing stop you. Don't let Satan try to stop you, because the mind is a powerful thing, and it'll sure tell you cannot, but you are a child of God and you can. So nothing can stop you. Nothing is impossible if you have God in you. We all have Jesus in our hearts. So, I mean, that's enough for me. I don't know. And I remember my friend, she told me, she was like, Mackenzie, you're just different. You're weird. And I was like, well, that's fine. If you don't want to be my friend no more, you don't have to be my friend. She was like, okay, we'll find a ride home. We're joking with each other. And I was like, that's fine. Jesus is going to take me home someday. So Jesus is going to get me home someday. I don't know. I'm going to show back over here somehow. But, yeah, that is the moral of the story. You go get it, girl, boy, man, woman, whatever you are. But yeah, don't let anything stop you. And y'all are powerful, and you got it.
And you're powerful too. I love this girl so much. I love you. Thank you so much for being on. And will you come back in the future?
Of course I will.
All right, so we'll continue on these subjects, and I just love these conversations. So thank you for being here. I love you. Remember, keep it simple, keep it moving, never settle, stay tough. Tell them peace.
Peace, and shout out to Leo. I love you.
Bye, y'all.